6 videos, 260 subs, and 6 months without a new upload. It's beyond time for an explanation on where I've been. Alright, I'm only writing a script for this because of how much I tend to ramble without one, and because there's a lot to unpack here. This video will definitely delve into some personal topics, but it won't be anything worthy of some sort of content warning or something like that. I'll leave some timestamps too, so that if anyone wants to watch and skip to different sections of the video, they can do that. Anyways, let us begin. The school grind has been mad crazy. Like, it's laughable how little spare time I've had since early August. I think it's pretty obvious that I rushed the FNaF 3 redesign, and it came out a matter of days before school started back, and I just really think it shows. It's not my best work. It's not bad. I don't think it's bad by any means, but it's just kind of decent. You know, and I at least had a little bit of kill time off during that first semester of school that I could have used to get back into the YouTube grind, but I mean, you know, I just don't really have much time to do that now. I'm taking 3 AP classes right now, I'm working a job for my other school periods, I'm playing a sport, I'm taking 2 college classes online ahead of time. I mean, it's brutal, but it's handling fine. The big consequence of having such a lack of downtime, though, is that a lot of my hobbies have kind of just died on me. This channel is just one of them. I barely have time to work on other stuff that I used to do, and I just don't really have a lot of time to even sit down and casually play games at this point. I've obviously had breaks from the grind over the school year, but even with just an extended weekend or a week off or something like that, I just can't really bring myself to work on the channel. But I'll talk about that some more later. In general, I've really just been using the internet a lot less. I'll still find some cool YouTube video essays to listen to, but I mean, that's just the main focus that I've had with YouTube, and it's not even on a creator side of things. I've also been off of a lot of other social medias like Discord and Instagram way more recently to kind of just focus on my own life and what's sitting in front of me. And let me tell you, it's a freaking phenomenal feeling. Like when you just mindlessly cut out the scrolling on Discord and Instagram alone, your screen time levels go down immensely and you suddenly have way more time in your day to be productive. I strive for a lot of productivity in my daily life, so getting rid of or just entirely lessening distractions in the form of social media has been really good for me. Another reason I've been using the internet a lot less is to kind of grow spiritually as a Christian. For those of you who are not in my Discord server, this might be something you didn't know, but yeah, I'm a Christian. And I really couldn't be happier about that fact. I really got in the self-improvement grind set in the last quarter of 2023, and God has been a cornerstone in helping me improve myself as a person, and really just become more of just who I want to be. A big part of me being able to achieve that growth was a byproduct of taking breaks or abstaining from certain social medias, and the trade-off has just absolutely been worth it. And as a whole, I'd really just encourage anybody here listening to this video to take like a week off or something from Instagram and just see how much better your life would be. I've really just kind of fallen out of love with FNaF. I've loved this series since its inception, though. As a matter of fact, I still remember the exact instance which I was introduced back to the first game back in 1st grade. I'll always hold respect for most of the FNaF games made by Scott, but the modern stuff just really isn't it for me. That's not to say that there isn't anything cool in modern FNaF. I actually quite like a lot of the ideas and set pieces, like the entirety of the Pizzaplex during the Ruin DLC. The problems with me are the books, inability to immediately play the games, and the gameplay. The book stuff is a super common sentiment, so I'm not really going to touch on it, but the other 2 aspects are way more specific to me. I've had to just follow new FNaF games through YouTube videos, which isn't ideal, but it's my best option. I don't have VR for either Help Wanted game, and I refuse to try flat mode, and I don't have a PC anywhere good enough to buy Security Breach Ruin and run it well. My options for even trying to play Security Breach would be on the Switch or Xbox, both of which would perform terribly. And since ports of either console take months to happen, I'm just way more inclined to watch a Let's Play of the new games and go from there. It's something I'd prefer not to need to do, but it's really just the only viable option. And quite frankly, the truckloads of videos I've watched on all the Steelwool games just haven't convinced me to buy them, aside from maybe Help Wanted 1, which is more or less just a VR adaptation of the early FNaF games. My problem with these games is how they handle the story and gameplay. I'm a huge fan of games with good stories and writing, which is why I'm super inclined to say that FFPS takes the cake as my favorite FNaF game. But the story alone didn't carry old FNaF. I'd argue that the gameplay did. That's the entire reason the game ever got its turn in the spotlight. The Steelwool games have just felt mechanically mediocre, honestly. Security Breach has shallow stealth mechanics that can easily be cheesed, and while Ruin was an improvement in about every way, it still failed to replicate the classic feeling of FNaF's gameplay and what made it so great. Resource management. For example, in Ruin, you can only wear the Vanny mask for a set amount of time before Mixies starts chasing you. That's fine and all, but rarely does this mechanic ever stack on top of other ones to make for a really good resource management section. I can think of one example with the endos at the daycare, where the player must carefully balance going between the VR world and the real one while trying not to get caught by either the endos or mixies. But about every other gameplay instance I can think about from Ruin just didn't really make the gameplay more complex and just provided more bare-bones puzzle solving. You've got a Fazbrin, just do the same puzzle a couple of times. You go into the VR world, go find nodes again. There just isn't a lot there to digest on the gameplay front. Help 102 was a welcome surprise near the end of the year, but even then, a lot of its gameplay just felt samey to me when I was watching it. There were a multitude of minigames that just boiled down to following a pattern without much else onto it. I'm sure it's way more stressful and engaging when you're actually playing the game, but it just doesn't look interesting enough to justify me buying the game in my eyes. I intend to buy a VR headset soon just for the sake of having one and playing Half-Life Alyx, but I'll probably pick up Help 101 and 2 just to have them. And I think that Help 101 would still be a blast. I'm just not entirely sure that the sequel looks like something I'm going to have a phenomenal time with. And again, I'm not dissing Steelwool here. I genuinely believe that they can make good games, and they've done some good stuff for FNaF. I just think that they need to, maybe step outside of the comfort zone a little bit more and try and make something that can be really mechanically rich. The final point here is that the redesigns are a huge commitment, and I really messed myself over by being overambitious. Especially in the case of the movie rewrite. That was such a stupid idea. I still don't know why I spent roughly a dozen hours writing out the entire screenplay for the base movie in a very poorly formatted screenplay that's about 90 pages long, but that's just how things go sometimes. I had some really good ideas for the rewrite, but again, a lack of time really hurt me making any real progress on that. And while I definitely had a lot of gripes at the base FNaF movie, I'm really just content to drop the rewrite and just let the movie sit. I mean, this thing is beyond flawed, and I still firmly believe that Scott Cawthon needs to find someone who reflects his vision but is a bit more familiar with the proper writing stuff to help him in the future. But let's think about this. The best way I can describe the wait for the movie is this.
Always seeming so near, yet somehow out of reach.
The thing experienced delay after delay, and it was just so surreal to finally start getting some promising news and eventually the actual movie. It was just such a fun experience watching it on opening night, surrounded by other fans, with my poor dad beside me who had no idea what was going on when everybody started freaking out at the MatPat line. Even in that moment, I was able to stomach all my gripes at the movie and just enjoy myself. And that's something I've really just been trying to do more. Truth is, making a redesign of someone else's work requires far less effort and creativity than actually making an original work. And me working overtime to make a ton of drawings for my videos doesn't change that fact. It's basically like being the editor for a story. It's so much easier to point out what's wrong with something than to come up with something yourself, and I would rather contribute more to the internet than just that. So, what's the fate of this channel? I really thought about just abandoning it for a while, and if I wanted to just focus on views, that would be the smartest thing to do. But that's 260 people who genuinely enjoy watching the videos that I make. So, I've decided to shift content styles and make nothing but video essays now. I used to do this on an old and now defunct channel of mine, and man was it a blast. It's also infinitely less time consuming, so that'll be a way better way for me to focus on YouTube with my current schedule. I'm not quite sure what my full range of video coverage will be like, so we'll just have to wait and see on that. But my goal with these videos will really just be to reflect me more, just me as a person more. I've gotten really good at writing English papers in a super objective tone, and while that's good for getting an A, that's just not great for letting my full personality shine through in a YouTube video. My deliverance of just a script can only take me so far. YouTube video essays can just be way more laid back and allow me to do what I want to do in an entirely new light and cover some niche topics I'm interested in. I doubt I'll rack up anywhere near the number of views I somehow managed to get on those 3 redesigns, but I'd rather make videos that I'm really proud and happy with than just something that would get more attention. So, that's about it for me now. Thank you so much for watching and sticking with this channel in the downtime. I really hope I can have some sort of video roadmap set up soon, but no promises on that. If anyone watching is curious to join my Discord server to talk to me, the link is down below. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.